Well, good evening. It's just past 6 o'clock. It's Saturday, June the 18th, and it's getting rather stormy outside in the last half an hour before we've gone live. It's getting grayer, it's getting windier, and we do have a severe weather warning out for lightning here in Wyke Regis. So let's keep our fingers crossed that it doesn't affect our programme this evening. Well, last week we heard about the possible plans for the ferry service to return to Weymouth. This week it has been revealed that Dorset Council are not fully behind the plan. Dorset Council have said the business plan that Dorset Council received from Weymouth Town Council in respect of a proposed ferry service returning to Weymouth fell far short of the professional standard we would expect to see in such a proposal. Weymouth Town Councillors were given 12 months to conduct a feasibility study and submit a fully costed business plan, but the proposal submitted was weak. It was not received in good time, nor did it address several key considerations. This is all the comments from Dorset Council. In addition, only very vague costings have been included, and no thought was given to the loss of Dorset Council's current income streams from parking at the peninsula or the Council's obligations to its current harbour clients. No thought had been given to the costs associated with the modern day ferry service, such as border force security, dredging, pilotage and the impact of additional cars on the peninsula, which undoubtedly would affect local people and businesses. The offer on the table from Weymouth Town Council was for a one-day-a-week ferry service from Weymouth to Channel Islands for 30 weeks of the year, which in the view of Dorset Council is not a workable proposal. To make it feasible, Dorset Council would have needed a commitment for the provision of a ferry service which operates all year round and offers a daily service to multiple destinations, not just the Channel Islands. In its present form, then, the business case put forward is a non-starter. Now, Weymouth Town Council, in return, have blasted the County Council's comments in a letter to the Dorset Echo, in which they said, Town councillors, including the current mayor and two former mayors, claim that Dorset Council failed to provide the necessary level of support for the business case. Dorset Council officers were supposed to be supporting the business case in providing some direction and information, particularly in respect of landside and harbour requirements, but this never transpired. In fact, all along these discussions were either held up or not supported, and it's quite evident that Dorset Council officers were not at all supportive of the idea of bringing back a ferry service to Weymouth. We are not saying that we definitely must have a ferry service, but that it needs to be properly considered along with other potential developments and not swept under the carpet. We live in a democracy. Weymouth residents deserve better. Dorset Council mentions that the ferry proposal has held up other developments, but that is absolutely ridiculous. So that's the comments from Weymouth Town Council. So there we go. Our local town council and the county council are not seeing eye to eye on the proposals for a new ferry service to Weymouth. I think as far as residents are concerned, we'd like to get them to work together in the best interest of the residents, obviously. Now, Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service have issued another amber wildfire alert for this weekend. The warning means it's a higher than usual risk of a wildfire starting. Should such a fire happen, it could spread quickly and easily due to the very warm conditions that we've had recently and everything being absolutely dry. As seen with the recent incidents on Camford Heath, not only do they cause devastation to heath, woodland and wildlife, but they also put the public and homes at risk. Area Manager Damien Bent said, with a period of hot weather underway, we would urge people to take real care when enjoying the sunshine in our beautiful countryside. If you're visiting our heathlands, woodlands or countryside, please avoid having a campfire and take a picnic rather than use a disposable barbecue. Just a few simple steps can make real difference in preventing fires from starting. And the safety tips from Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue are: don't have barbecues or campfires on the heath or in open spaces. The risk of fire starting is too great. Extinguish cigarettes properly. Don't throw cigarette ends onto the ground or out of car windows, and take your litter home. If you see a fire in the countryside, get to a safe place and call 999 to report it immediately to the Fire and Rescue Service. Please provide as much detail as possible about where you are or where the fire is, and use something like "what" 3 words to give details of the location, and then wait for help to arrive. Landowners and land managers are advised to be prepared for fires where possible and ensure that fire breaks are cut and well maintained, with any cut grasses and vegetation removed from the site. If you're having a bonfire at home, have a garden hose to hand in case it starts to get out of control, and never use petrol or another accelerant to get it started. Barbecue coals stay hot for hours, so douse them with water and don't dispose them in a plastic wheelie bin until you can be absolutely sure they are cold. Some good advice there from Dorset and Wilkes Fire and Rescue. Now, if you want to enjoy an event outside and you want to stay safe and keep the countryside safe, you can pop along to their website at www.dwfire.org.uk/safety-outdoors. That's www.dwfire.org.uk/safety-outdoors. Now, also in the news this week, South Western Railway and Great Western Railways are both urging customers only to attempt to travel by rail if absolutely necessary this week, due to the national rail strikes that will be happening. Both companies have warned services will be affected on planned strike days, which are Tuesday the 21st, Thursday the 23rd and Saturday the 25th of June. And of course it will affect services on other days, as the disruption will mean trains are in the wrong place and all sorts of other things. Customers should expect severe disruption, and if they have to travel, should seek to do so by other means. This comes as rail providers publish their strike day timetables, which will provide a very limited service on the routes that Network Rail have made available. The reduced timetable will see significant parts of the network closed entirely, and those trains that are running will be far less frequently compared to normal. Now, from the information I've seen, it looks like South West trains are not going to be running anything much further out of London than Southampton and possibly Bournemouth. So I don't think there's anything planned to come down the line to sort of Wareham, Dorset and Weymouth. So just be very wary if you're thinking of travelling by train this week. Network Rail and more than 2,100 South West Rail RMT members are set to take strike action on Tuesday the 21st, Thursday the 23rd and Saturday the 25th of June, causing severe disruption. Network Rail will provide contingency cover for critical roles including electrical control room operators, signallers, maintenance and response teams, but will not be able to cover the whole day. Therefore, it seems that South West Railways certainly are planning to run a limited timetable from 7:15 in the morning to only 6:30 in the evening on those 3 strike days, and as we say, it's probably not going to cover the whole of the route. GWR has said they will operate as many trains as possible during the strike action. However, most train services will be affected on the days announced, and due to the times of the strike action, services in between days will also be affected. Operators are trying to provide about 30% of its usual timetable services on the strike days and 50% on non-strike days. That's what they're aiming to do. Now, customers who have already purchased tickets can claim a full refund or can amend their ticket. Those who travel and are delayed may be entitled to delay repay compensation if they're delayed for 15 minutes or more. Season ticket holders can apply for compensation through the delay repay scheme. To help customers, GWR is allowing people with tickets for travel on strike days to be able to travel on the day before and up to 2 days afterwards on their tickets. So not a good week ahead for the railways and those that rely on the railways for their travel. Now we are in National Blood Week, which is a week where people are encouraged to give blood, and that runs until tomorrow. NHS Blood and Transport are urging people in Dorset to give blood as new targets reveal 1,589 new donors are needed in the county to save lives over the next year. Nationally, 1 million more blood donors are needed over the next 5 years to ensure patients receive the right type of blood to save and improve their lives, with a particular need for Black African, Black Caribbean and younger donors. The 5-year blood service strategy published at the start of National Blood Week sets ambitious plans to recruit up to 1 million new donors and double the number of regular donors with the rarest blood types. This will ensure better matched blood types for patients in the future and reduced health inequalities. Most people know the main blood types. O positive, 35% of the population. O negative, 13% of the population. A positive, 30% of the population. A negative, 8%. B positive, 8% of the population. B negative, only 2% of the population. And AB positive, 2%. But the public is less familiar with the many subtypes that can provide even better match to improve their treatment. There is a particular urgency for more donors of Black African and Black Caribbean ethnicity to treat people with sickle cell anemia in particular. Sickle cell is the fastest growing generic blood disorder in the UK and mostly affects people of black heritage. It requires regular transfusions, most often with a specific blood subtype RO. Most patients are children, and demand for RO blood is projected to double from what it was in 2016 to when we get to 2025, so doubling over that 10 years. 55% of black blood donors have the RO subtype compared to 2.4% of donors from other ethnicities. Blood donation that generally takes up to an hour, and you will be doing something amazing. Once donated blood is taken to the NHS blood transfusion laboratories, where it is divided into platelets, red cells, plasma. Now, NHS blood transfusion carefully manages blood stocks to ensure the system is as efficient as possible. Red blood cells have a shelf life of 35 days, although some of the ultra rare types are stored in a frozen blood bank in Liverpool. Appointments to donate blood are arranged based on a donor's blood type to meet full patient needs. Knowing your type is an essential part of being a next generation donor. Now, there's a mass public campaign being held all this week and throughout June to identify people with the most needed blood types. That's young people and those of Black African or Black Caribbean heritage are being urged by the NHS to find out their blood type by making their first donation at one of the many events being held at blood donor centres in England. Now, if you want to find out about donation and where you can donate blood, and eventually to find out your blood type, of course, you can go online to www.blood.co.uk. That's www.blood.co.uk. Or you can call 0300 123 2323. 0300 123 2323. And we will come back to this story later in the programme. Well, the Weymouth Neighbourhood Plan consultation is now live, and the Weymouth Neighbourhood Plan Group, supported by the Dorset Coast Forum, are organising public consultation events around the town, as well as encouraging everyone to complete an online survey. Through community engagement, the Weymouth Neighbourhood Plan Group identified 5 themes that the Weymouth community have said are important to them. And you won't be surprised by these 5 themes, and I'm sure that's the 5 themes that are important to most people. Homes, jobs, communities, landscape and green spaces, and sustainable environments. So homes, jobs, communities, landscapes and green spaces, and sustainable environments. Now, whether you're an individual, a resident or a business, this is your chance to let Weymouth Town Council know what you think. The 5 theme surveys are open now and will run until midnight on Sunday the 31st of July. Please make sure you respond before this period closes. The neighbourhood plan will apply to the wider Weymouth area, not just the town centre, with the designated boundaries that were agreed in July 2020. A neighbourhood plan sets out the policies that are used to help make decisions about planning applications in the area, including identifying open spaces that residents would like to protect from inappropriate development. It's led by the local community and gives everyone an opportunity to have a say and help shape future development, influence and well-being, sustainability and long-term preservation of the community. Now, Weymouth Town Council's Councillor David Northern said, please help shape the future of our town over the next 15 to 20 years. I urge you to come along to one of the up-and-coming community events where you can have your say on the Weymouth Neighbourhood Plan. This is a plan for all of us in Weymouth and is designed to help our communities, including residents and businesses, to have a say in Weymouth's future. So do come along, find out more about the plan and take the survey so that we can capture your valuable input. Now, if you want to take part in those surveys, there are some drop-in events coming up. And the first one is the Park Community Centre in Chelmsford Street. That's this coming Tuesday, that's the 21st of June. Park Community Centre, Chelmsford Street, from 4 o'clock to 6:45. So that's Tuesday the 21st, this week, Park Community Centre, Chelmsford Street, 4 to 6:45. Then we got St Francis Church, Littlemore. That's the following week, Wednesday the 29th of June, from 4 till 7, and St Paul's Community Centre in Westham on Friday the 8th of July from 4 to 7. Now we'll mention these again in future weeks, but do look out for those and go along and have an input into the plan for our area. Now you can have your say online and you can get to the online surveys by going to www.dorsetcoasthaveyoursay.co.uk. So that's www.dorsetcoasthaveyoursay.co.uk. Now you can find out more detail about the neighbourhood plan and the boundary area that it covers and all that on that website. If you don't get involved, you can't blame what happens. Obviously, if you get involved, then you've got a chance to influence where things are going. Now, how would you like, hopefully there we go, how would you like to take on a lively jive, a stylish American smooth, or a sultry salsa? Wellbeing Hospice Care is looking for local people to sign up for their 5th Strictly Ballroom show, which takes place next March at Weymouth Pavilion. 8 men and 8 women will be paired up and taught a ballroom or Latin routine that they will perform at the show, which raises money for the Dorset charity. Each couple will receive 16 weeks of free training from the experts at Eileen Spracklin's School of Dancing. The show includes a panel of judges, but the winner is decided by votes from the audience. Local men in particular are being encouraged to put their best foot forward and apply to take part. Tracy Gent from Wellbeing's fundraising team says Strictly Ballroom has been one of our most popular events ever since we held the first show in 2013, and this will be the first one we've been able to put on since the pandemic. We always have lots of interest from local ladies, so we're asking men to step up and balance up the numbers. It's such a fun event and everyone who has taken part in it has loved it. Our previous show in 2018 raised a brilliant £23,000. How fantastic is that? Daniel Smythe won the competition with his partner Sandra Wayman in 2015 and says, "It was absolutely thrilling. The whole night was quite special. The feeling of excitement was beyond what anyone could imagine. Have a go. It's something you will really enjoy. It's great to learn to dance, and above all, you'll have an amazing time." So they're looking for people to enter in March next year. They obviously want to know now. You get 16 weeks of dance tuition, particularly after men. I have to say dancing is not one of my things that I actually can do. I've got total lack of coordination, so I won't be volunteering. But if you're interested, to register your interest in Wellbeing Strictly Ballroom, visit wellbeinghospicecare.org and you'll find information on their website. That's wellbeinghospicecare.org, or contact the fundraising team during office hours on 01305 261 800. That's 01305 261 800. Now, people who struggle with their mental health because of social stigmas around their sexuality or gender identity are being urged to seek support during Pride Month. Each June, Pride Month celebrates the contribution and lives of LGBTQI+ people, but also aims to raise awareness of the challenges they face, such as discrimination, social isolation, and homophobia. Such issues can sometimes lead to depression and low self-esteem. Steps to Wellbeing, a free NHS mental health service run by Dorset Healthcare, can provide tailored help and support. Now, Christopher O'Rourke, whose picture's on screen, a psychological wellbeing practitioner and LGBT champion at Steps to Wellbeing, understands why people may be hesitant to ask for help. He's commented, "I've found it difficult to discuss my own identity, about how I fit in the world and relationships, and dealing with stigma and stereotypes. I felt like I couldn't express parts of who I wanted to be in public, especially at school and university. Counselling at Steps to Wellbeing is perfect for that sort of thing. If people don't feel they can be open about it, then they aren't forced to. He went on to say it's a very compassionate service where everyone tries to be understanding and sensitive when asking questions. Patient's choice is always a really big thing for us, and we always try to give as many options as possible. Now, to make sure Steps to Wellbeing staff better understand the mental health needs of LGBTQI plus people, Christopher has delivered training courses to colleagues. He went on to say, we looked at how experience of homophobia, biphobia, transphobia and aphobia intersect and affect mental health. We also highlighted issues inside the community such as body image, grinder culture and the feeling that having a much smaller dating pool can make finding love competitive and more difficult. Steps to Wellbeing doesn't judge patients or say that they are making these things up. We know these things are real life cultural issues. We can talk about open relationships, polyamory and HIV and how we can support people and not stigmatise them. He went on to say being LGBTQI+ doesn't cause mental health problems, and it doesn't mean that your sexuality is necessarily relevant if you are struggling. For many people, their sexuality is irrelevant to their mental health, but for when it is important, we want to give it the consideration that it deserves. Our patients are at the heart of everything we do, and we can also signpost to other services to make sure you get personalised and tailored support. It's always better just to get in touch. Now, Steps to Wellbeing is available to residents across Dorset and offers a range of talking therapies, online courses and guided self-help. You can self-refer, you can sign up for support quickly and confidentially using an online form. Anybody can do that at www.steps2wellbeing.co.uk. So www.steps2wellbeing.co.uk, where the 2 is the number 2. Now, this May, let's get the right picture up. There we go. This May, 177 Dorset residents took part in the Litter Free Dorset Challenge, a joint project run by Litter Free Dorset and Preventing Plastic Pollution Project, whereby individuals across the county were encouraged to get outdoors, have some fun and litter pick their local areas at times that suited them over the course of a month. Challengers were invited to pick up a challenge of their choosing to take on over the month and could also fundraise for Litter Free Dorset to contribute towards enabling the challenge to run again in 2023. In return, participants receive free litter picking equipment to use throughout their challenge and in the future. Sophie Colley, who's Litter Free Dorset coordinator, said a big thank you to everyone who grabbed a litter picker and got involved with this year's Litter Free Dorset Challenge. It's been fantastic to see everyone's updates in the Litter Free Dorset Challenge Facebook group and the community support given for everyone involved. We hope the participants have all been inspired to continue their litter picking activities into the future. And a big shout out to one young litter picker who fundraised £105 towards the next Litter Free Dorset Challenge as part of their challenge. And we can see some of those people on the screen. So well done to all of them. Now, residents who wouldn't usually ask for help are being encouraged to reach out for support early as the cost of living rises, and Dorset Council is working with its partners to signpost people to the right place to meet their circumstances. While many people who have needed help before may be confident reaching out to government services and voluntary organisations for support, the cost of living is now impacting people who may not know where to start. Now, Cost of Living Help is a new webpage from the council which puts advice and support on money, access to food, housing, support for children, mental health and wellbeing and employment all in one place. People can check if they're eligible for benefits, free school meals, low tariffs for their utilities and charitable grant schemes. There's also advice on housing and employment. Specialist help is also available over the phone, in person and online from Dorset Citizens Advice. Now, the best way to start is to go along to a website and the advice and support website is www.dorsetcouncil.gov.uk/cost -of-living-help. So that's www.dorsetcouncil.gov.uk/cost-of-living-help. Now, finally, in the headlines this week, it's Armed Forces Day on Monday, and a flag will fly outside County Hall in Dorset to highlight support and respect for the Armed Forces community. The annual ceremony is an opportunity to honour servicemen and women past and present. The flag will be raised at a special ceremony at 10 a.m, hosted by Councillor Val Pothecary, Chairman of Dorset Council. And the ceremony at County Hall in Dorset will be attended by Mr Angus Campbell, Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Dorset, Dr Sybil Fine King, HM High Sheriff of Dorset, Councillor Val Pothecary, Chairman of Dorset Council, and Councillor Spencer Flower, Leader of Dorset Council. They will be joined by other dignitaries and members of the Armed Forces and Royal Naval Associations. The Armed Forces community, veterans and residents are invited to join the ceremony and to mark their respects. At the same time, broadly the same time, actually, at 10:30 in Weymouth, outside the new Town Hall on Commercial Road in Weymouth, there will also be a short ceremony held to raise the Armed Forces Day flag at the Weymouth Town Council offices. Local councillors and town council officers will be joined by members of the community along with local and visiting veterans at the ceremony. The flag raising ceremony will mark the end of a weekend of Armed Forces events in Weymouth. And if you want to find out more about what's happening on Armed Forces weekend, do pop along to the Weymouth Town Council website, because there are things going on tomorrow on Sunday. That's the 19th of June. Now, that completes our headlines for this week. Quite a lot going on this week. Now, in our first piece this week, we mentioned in our headlines that it is National Blood Week and the importance of blood donation. We're now going to hear from a couple who are often in the media, Joel Dommett and Hannah Cooper, on the importance of donation and why they are involved and why it's important to them.
I don't know why I've already got my arm there. I need to
Relax it. Relax it.
This is what you do, right?
Let's get the blood flowing in that arm. By Chris Akabusi. That's a reference, but you won't understand.
Yeah, I met Chris Akabusi.
Really?
Yeah, at school. We had photos with him.
That's unbelievable.
I'll get my Chris Akabusi photo out. My mum had 9 pints last year in a full blood transfusion, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So our goal is to get at least 9 people. So if we can get 9 people, we will be very happy.
I feel like we're giving the blood back that we've used, essentially.
Well, you've not used it.
No, but we as a family.
You're always make it about you, don't you?
That is true, actually.
This is about my mum.
Yes. Yes, it is. We always wanted to give blood, but I think sometimes you need like a little push to do things, and our podcast has been really good for us to push us to just do stuff we've kind of always wanted to do. It's called Never Have I Ever.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things, so it's good for us. It's been fun. Puppy yoga was so fun.
Puppy yoga is definitely like one of the best things we've done so far.
Yeah.
On the pod. Like, the amount of endorphins that it gives you, just hanging out with 12 little puppies.
It was so fun.
I think I might do that once a month now.
Yeah, I think it's actually good to do. The problem is, because of this podcast,
all your secrets are out.
There's nothing that nobody knows about us because we just say it.
We don't know our blood type.
There we go.
Yeah.
We have no idea about
We'll
blood type.
post those on our Instagram, I'm sure.
I've genuinely no
I
idea.
wonder if they're the same.
Oh my God.
Do you think we're more in love if
We're
we
meant
have
to
the
be.
same blood type?
Oh my God, we can share blood. Imagine if this was a first date. Like, think you're going to a restaurant.
Also, it's cheap because
It
it's
is
free
cheap.
to do.
Free biscuits.
And free biscuits. And if you stayed here long enough, you could probably get like a 3-course meal. Like chocolate, crisps, squash.
Yeah, bourbon.
No alcohol, so at least you'd keep it like nice and PG.
So I'd be like, you'd be like, where are we going on a first date? And I'd be like, oh, it's a secret. You'd be like, are we eating? And I'd be like, technically.
I'm so happy that we're here doing this. And this is 2 pints, so
Yeah.
2 pints, 7 to go. Not now.
Not now.
Not now.
No, let's leave it a little bit. But I think it's really great what you're doing. Proud of you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to do this. It means a lot.
There we go. So if you want more information, blood.co.uk. And if you've not given blood before, of course, you will find out what blood group you are. And you may have a very special blood group that is particularly important to a small group of people. So well worth consideration. Now, moving on to our second piece tonight, something completely different. And this week, Janet Hall, who regularly contributes to our programme, has been looking at the history of one of Wyke's historic buildings that many of you will be familiar with or walk past every day if you've not been in there, or you may have been in there for different events over the years. And that is the Memorial Hall in Wyke Regis. And this week, Janet's been looking back about the starting of the hall and the halls before it. So we'll hear from Janet now.
Hello. When you see the Memorial Hall standing proudly at the junction of All Saints Road and Chamberlain Road, do you ever wonder when it was built and what story it has to tell? It's built on the site of an earlier national school that provided the first formal education for children of Wyke Regis. The very early schooling in Wyke Regis was probably carried out in all weathers by the parish priest in the tiny south porch of the nearby church. By the late 1700s, there was a dame school for young ladies operating in Shrubbery Lane, but in 1833 came a change in the national education system, and policies and grants were made available by the government to meet the needs of half the cost of new school buildings. It's thought probable that the land on which the hall and the adjoining properties is built today was originally provided by the Royal Manor of Wyke Regis and Elwell under copyhold to Margaret Chamberlain of Rodwell, the wife of the Reverend George Chamberlain, who was incumbent of All Saints Church from 1809 to 1837. In 1896, the school was described by an inspector as unwholesome and overcrowded, and in 1897 a new mixed school, the Wyke School, paid for by the Whitehead Torpedo Company, was opened in Victoria Road, Wyke Regis, under their headmaster, Mr. H.B. Vickery. The old National School was closed, and in 1897, for a time, it was used as parish rooms. With the new Whitehead School in Victoria Road catering for the education of the children of Wyke Regis, it was decided in 1907 to pull down the old National School buildings and erect the present red brick Memorial Hall. The new hall was opened in 1908. It was built in memory of Margaret Chamberlain, and the trust that she set up still administers the hall by way of 3 trustees appointed by the church. After the Second World War, the Memorial Hall found itself being used as a school again, this time on a temporary basis, until the Wyke Regis, known as the Rainbow School, the County Infant School in Shrubbery Lane, was opened in 1953. Betty Prince remembers going to the school as it was then.
I even went up the Memorial Hall to school. Did you? Do you know we had a teacher that lived down the high street, down the bottom there, and she used to collect us as we went. She went up through, and then she used to bring us home in the evenings. I mean, because we were only tiny. We think we used to walk because, and there was the 2 classrooms. Well, you can even see where the fires were in there, can't you? Yeah. I mean, another thing, we used to have the crates of milk put on the fire to warm in the winter. I mean,
In recent years, the Memorial Hall has been rented out to various community groups. In 1988, the village of Wyke Regis held a grand millennium celebration to commemorate 1,000 years of recorded history. The Memorial Hall played a central role in these celebrations, and a plaque on the wall now records that enjoyable historic occasion. The Memorial Hall is still used to help us celebrate many events in Wyke Regis, and I hope to see you there soon. Bye for now.
Thank you very much, Janet. And I guess for those of you that work in schools, quite a surprise to hear. Back in 1896, they had school inspectors then, so Ofsted isn't new. They were still being inspected back in 1896. Goodness, how things might have changed though, I guess. Now, our third story is about the fact that we are moving now into the summer season. The weather is generally good, although it's looking a bit dodgy out there this evening, and we may be considering going out for the day for a walk or exploring across Dorset somewhere. And we've got some great local places that we can visit not far from us. And one such place I've always enjoyed visiting is Brownsea Island, and especially to see those red squirrels that we are famous for at Brownsea Island. And Brownsea Island, of course, being one of those few places in the country that does have a good number of red squirrels. So I thought to whet your appetite and give you an idea, if you're looking for a day out, we would look at the latest video released by the National Trust on Brownsea Island and the red squirrels.
The red squirrels we have here on Brownsea are a little bit special because you don't find them in many places these days. A lot of the strongholds, certainly in England, are island based. It's because they've got that security away from the greys. We wouldn't have red squirrels on Brownsea if we didn't have the pine trees. The main food source for most of the year are the seeds contained within the pine cones, which obviously you only get from pine trees. So without pine trees we wouldn't have the squirrels, but there's a vast array of wildlife on Brownsea. We've got all sorts of birds, trees, plants, the whole range of species, and that's what makes Brownsea just that little bit special. Really, the island is known as the home of scouting. We get literally thousands of scouts and guides coming here, some just on day visits, but large numbers do want to stop here overnight. They've got the island more or less to themselves, and then that's an ideal time for them to go and explore in their own time. And that's when they're going to see perhaps more wildlife than what they would do during opening hours. But I would suggest if you're coming to see wildlife, you've just got to stay alert. You've got to use your eyes, maybe walk a little way and just pass your time for a few minutes and just look around and listen.
One squirrel still in the top there.
Obviously I'm biased, so I'm going to say Brownsea is the best place to see red squirrels. And it possibly is, because the island's only just over a mile long, half a mile wide. It's not a very big place, so the concentration of squirrels, or the density of squirrels on Brownsea, is quite high, especially compared to other places. But you can see them definitely at other places, like the Isle of Wight. It's quite a large colony on the Isle of Wight. Wallington up in Northumberland, throughout the Lake District, and Formby, of course, just north of Liverpool. Just to come out here, have a wander around, get in the fresh air, and actually just start to look around. Just by sort of sitting or wandering around, taking it all in, you'll feel much better for it.
There we go, that's one of the places to visit in Dorset, Brownsea Island, to see the red squirrels. Now, Brownsea Island is welcoming visitors for early morning bird walks and breakfast, or a supper and safari, some dates over the summer through to October. And it's a new chance to step behind the scenes in partnership with Dorset Wildlife Trust. You'll get the chance to see red squirrels, voles, Dartford warblers, nightjars, glowworms, bats and lots more. Take a look on the Dorset Wildlife Trust website for this and other events that they're organising throughout the season. And the website is www.dorsetwildlifetrust.org.uk/events. www.dorsetwildlifetrust.org.uk/events. Now it's that time in the programme where we see the national weather forecast and what it has for us for the remainder of this weekend. And this weekend we are going to hear from Alex Deakin from the Met Office.
Welcome to your latest national weather update from the Met Office. If you're not a fan of the heat, well, good news. Certainly for England and Wales, things turning a little cooler through the weekend. Now it's already. And some of that rain could turn heavy through Saturday evening, particularly over parts of Wales, maybe southwest England, and again across the Midlands too. We'll see a few more showers coming in across northern Scotland. The wind just switching direction to a northerly here, and all in all that adds up to a much cooler night for most of us, a fresher feel as we go into Sunday. Still double digits in the south, but these temperatures are a lot lower than they will be first thing on Saturday morning. And that weather front is still around here, just wiggling, waving its way around. So some uncertainty about where we see the rain on Sunday, but certainly across the south, there's the risk of some showers for the southeast and the southwest. Again, they could be heavy, but they will be hit and miss for large chunks of the country. Sunday looks like being a fine day, dry and bright. Still a bit breezy in the north and certainly a lot cooler with temperatures back around or maybe even a touch below average by the time of year, peaking in the high teens. A much fresher feel for all of us as we head into the new week, which, well, as I'm sure, be good news. I don't know, certainly be good news for some of you. As for the outlook into next week, well, for more details on that, why not follow us across social media?
Thank you very much, Alex. And looking at the local weather for the week ahead, you can see it's going to be fairly warm, but unsettled. So a bit of rain, a bit of sunshine, but obviously not quite as hot as it's been at the end of this week, which certainly for me is very much welcome because I struggle a little bit in this hot weather. Now, looking at traffic and travel, we won't dwell on the train situation. We've mentioned what's happening with the trains and the disruption this week. On the roadworks front, there are traffic lights this week on Abbotsbury Road that might cause some disruption. Also, roadworks are pre-notified in Bryn Road, Esplanade Road, Dale Avenue, Chaffinch Close, Dorset Road at the Broadway end. Looking at what's on, we have coming up at Weymouth Pavilion tomorrow, Sunday night comedy with Marcus Brigstock. 24th of June, Walk Right Back, the Everly Brothers story. 27th to 28th of June, Sea Shanties and Nautical Nuggets, starring people from local schools. So this is, lots of local schools are getting involved in this. So if you've got children, it's possible that your school or your children actually will get involved with that and you might get invited to go along. 29th of June, Buddy Holly and the Cricketers. 7th of July, Beyond the Barricade. 8th of July, Rhythm of the Dance. And 10th of July, Comedy Evening with Sarah Millican. All the shows can be booked online at weymouthpavilion.com or by telephone 01305 783 225 to get to the box office. Northfort, they've still got their Royal Memorabilia exhibition on right up to the 15th of July. 1st of July, Wessex Musical Theatre, Songs from Stage and Screen. That's an evening show there. And 23rd of July, they've got their Victorian weekend. Royal Manor Theatre, July the 9th and July the 10th, are doing their pantomime Not Quite Aladdin. Tickets are available on the door or via their booking office, which is 033 36 66 3366 or www.royalmanortheatre.co.uk. Now, this week, again, we welcome back Andrew Wright, who, as you will gather from last week, is a university student studying media at Bournemouth University, and he's on a placement with us over the summer. And Andrew's doing our regular film review, and he might be moving on to other things as we get through the season, but that's where he's starting with. So we're now going over to Andrew for this week's film review.
Welcome to Wyke Regis TV film review and preview. I'm Andrew Wright. So, last weekend, the conclusion to the Jurassic World trilogy was released to negative reviews from critics and mostly positive reviews from audiences, as well as a $339 million opening weekend box office. Now, I went to go check it out because I'm a fan of these films, and the cinema screen was nearly sold out. Dominion was very much Jurassic World Dominion was very much a story to show off both the Jurassic Park and Worlds casts together in one place and give us plenty of references to events from the original films. On a whole, I enjoyed the movie because it does try to tackle serious world issues like genetic modification and animal rights, but unfortunately this has made the film appear to be trying too hard to reach a conclusion for the 6th film saga. The parts of the film that I enjoyed the most was the directing and the camera movements of the opening sequence of the fish tanker being swept under, as well as the exotic locations like Malta and secluded mountains in Italy, to give the film the feel that it's trying to inject new energy into the franchise. I give this film 4 out of 5 stars. This week, the most anticipated Batman movie in a decade was released on DVD and Blu-ray. The Batman was a box office success and received a lot of praise from critics and audiences alike. I never saw the Batman in cinemas, but I was eagerly anticipating the Blu-ray release. I always had my doubts about the film, but most of those doubts were alleviated by the fact that the dark and gritty nature of the film fits perfectly within the world of the Batman, with excellent cinematography and directing on full display in the film. Whilst all eyes were on seeing how Robert Pattinson handled putting on the Batsuit, the performances of Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon and Paul Dano as the villain, the Riddler, outshone Pattinson's performance. The film in places does feel too long, but the camera work, the attention to detail of the camera work compensates for it. I give this film 4 out of 5 stars. Last week, the final trailer for the horror movie Nope was released. Starring Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, and Stephen Yeun, this film is the 3rd film from comedian turned industry favourite horror director Jordan Peele after the critical success of his previous 2 movies, Get Out and Us. The film revolves around 2 siblings who recruit tech experts to capture video footage of an unidentified flying object after random falling objects from the sky result in the death of their father, played by character actor Keith David. Nope comes to cinemas this July courtesy of Universal Pictures. This weekend's big cinema release is Disney Pixar's Lightyear, starring Captain America's Chris Evans and directed by one of the creative minds behind Finding Dory. Lightyear tells the tale of the hero who inspired the toy in Toy Story as he tries to find a way home through time and space. Be sure to check it out if you're a Pixar fan, a Toy Story fan, or just looking for a film for the kids. Early critics' reviews are calling it another emotional Pixar masterpiece. Be sure to check it out in your local cinema. This weekend's big streaming release is Netflix's Spiderhead, starring Miles Teller and Chris Hemsworth, who has a very shockingly obvious American accent. And from the director of Top Gun Maverick, Spiderhead revolves around a near-future society with a facility that allows convicts to reduce their sentences by volunteering for experiments using emotion-altering drugs. Early reactions to the film praise Chris Hemsworth and director Joseph Kosinski. Be sure to check it out on Netflix this weekend. That's all I have for this week, but be sure to check back next week where I will review the Disney Plus release of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and more. Now back to Gary in the studio.
Thank you very much there, Andrew, and Andrew will be back with us next week. Now, if you want to get in contact with myself, Janet or Andrew, you can get in touch with all of us by emailing news@wykeregis.tv. Of course, we're always happy to hear your stories, your news, your events, so do let us know. We're here for the community and would like to let people know what you're doing and what is concerning you. Now, we're coming to the end of tonight's programme, and just a reminder that our Saturday night quiz starts at 7:30 in about 40 minutes time. The stream will go live at 7:15, 25 minutes time, ready for a prompt start on the quiz at 7:30. Everyone is welcome to join us. It's free and it's for the whole community. We also have this weekend on Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock a repeat of the June episode of A Year Gardening with Clive Gray. The first broadcast that went out Friday at 7. The repeat is Sunday at 4. And the next episode, which is the mid-June episode, goes out this coming Friday at 7 p.m. with the repeat next Sunday at 4 p.m. So do look in on those. They remain up once they've been broadcast for you to watch. Lots of ideas of plants to plant in the garden and how to look after stuff and garden projects there from Clive Gray. Now, just a final reminder that regular services tomorrow, All Saints Church in Wyke are 8 o'clock and 9:30, and at St Edmunds at 11 o'clock. And that brings us to the end of this week's programme. I hope you have a good weekend and a good week ahead. Do get in touch with us if you've got anything for us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I look forward to being with you with Janet and Andrew next Saturday at 6 o'clock. Good night.